woman who believes that men just can't handle your success. Regardless of whether you are single or married, this live is for you. I want to explain why that's not true and what you can do if you feel like it to change the experience that you're having with men. And if you don't know who I am, hello, hi, my name is Diana Bando. I'm a licensed attorney. I'm a multi-certified master life coach. I'm a stress expert, and on here I go by the stress whisperer because I love talking about all the different ways that stress is interfering with your life experience and what you can do about it. So, getting right into it, this live is inspired by a conversation I had recently in the last week with someone who's new to my world, and they are divorced. And the dynamic with them is that they got married while it's a woman. She got married while she was studying for the bar exam. And if you know anything about that test, it is brutal. And so you can't really do much more than study. And, some people do work when studying for the bar, but generally you don't because you just need to focus because it's a very hard, very lengthy test that, depending on the state you take it in, can take multiple days. I took the bar exam in Texas. It took 3 days, 15 hours. So it's a really serious test. So she meets her husband while studying for the bar exam, and then in the last couple of years has had incredible success. And so things were great when she was the damsel in distress, and then things fell apart, when the success came. And what I explained to her is it's not that he stopped loving you or that things, stopped working. It's that men have a need to feel needed. And you probably were able to make him feel needed when you were studying for the bar, but didn't know how to make him feel needed once you became successful and didn't even know that it's something that you needed to do in the first place. So let's get into it. So the title for today is They Not Like Us because, there are a lot of people who think that men and women are basically the same. We should be treated the same, same, 50-50. And as someone who has been a practicing divorce attorney, I don't do family law anymore. It was too much drama for me, but I have done it. And as someone who's done that, I can tell you that that idea that men and women are the same and we should be held to the same standards is part of why people are struggling in marriage and dating so much because we are not the same. They are not like us. And that's a good thing. Oh, thank you for the compliment. That is a good thing because, first of all, just from a sex drive perspective alone, I genuinely believe that if the survival of humanity was dependent on the female sex drive, people would have gone extinct by now. So that is just one of the many ways in which we are different, and it is a good thing. But they not like us. The high level thing that I think most women, especially if you're successful, need to understand is that most men, like most men, whether or not they'll admit it to you, would die for an opportunity to be a hero. Most women would not. Like, I'm not dying for anybody, but a man would. Like, climbing in the tree to save the cat, like jumping in front of the car to save the little kid, like the opportunity to be a hero, the opportunity to be remembered, that like makes men feel excited. And little side note, for those of you who haven't gotten hip to the scam that is, what do you bring to the table? The correct answer is what you bring to the table is the opportunity to be a hero. What you bring to the table is the opportunity to be remembered when you die, the opportunity to have a legacy, the opportunity to serve, the opportunity to wake up in the morning and have someone to provide for, someone to protect. That is what you bring to the table as a woman. And that is way more valuable than money to a man because a man can have millions of dollars, even billions of dollars, but if he has no one to provide for, if he's got no one to protect, no sense of purpose, that eats men alive. And they don't always admit it to women unless they really trust you, know you, but it's the truth. So a sense of purpose, a calling, something to die for, that is what men want. They want it more than sex, okay? So if you can give him that, you got him. And spoiler alert, you don't have to be a damsel in distress to give him that. I have in my life right now 2 mentors who make 8 figures, which is over $10 million in their businesses annually, and they're married. And the way that you do it as a successful woman is you have to manufacture things for your man to do. So when you How many subs do I have? Not enough. I never have enough. Um, when you are a damsel in distress, right? You literally need things for your survival. So it's very easy to give a man something to do because he has to help you stay alive. But once you get to the point where you're thriving, your career is established, you've got, the house, the car, the network, all the things, then you have to get creative and think about, okay, like what can I outsource to this man that would really make my life simpler, better, happier, that I could absolutely, thank him for doing for me and genuinely be grateful. Because what you want to do is give him a way to feel needed, give him a way to have that sense of purpose. And I am pretty sure that in the case of the person I mentioned at the beginning, because the success came in her career as an attorney, it was more and more like where she just didn't need him. So I'm going to look at my notes real quick because I don't want to forget anything. But tip number one is they not like us. And the number one way is they want to be a hero. But the other way is, the way that they differ from women in relationships is they want to worship a goddess. And so I have a course, it's called the Unforgettable Woman Formula. And it was created at the request of one of my clients who hired me because she had been married for 20 years and was really feeling like if something didn't change, her and her husband were going to get divorced. And she wasn't sure like what needed to change. She just knew she wasn't happy. She wanted out and wasn't really sure like where to begin with turning things around. We worked together a little over a year ago. They are still married. And not saying that they may not ever get divorced in the future, but they're currently married after working with me a little over a year ago. And so one of the things I talked about is the idea that, if a woman goes on a date with 20 different men and you sit down all those men, they're all going to have pretty much the same thing to say about her. But if a man goes on a date with 20 different women and you sit down with those women, they're pretty much all going to have different things to say about him. And the reason is that men behave in the presence of one woman or another differently based on that woman's embodiment, based on whether or not she has what I refer to as the three feminine frequencies, which of course I didn't create this. Um, I don't know who did, but the three frequencies that activate the healthy masculine in a man are goddess, sex kitten, and mommy. So I'm going to talk about all three of those in just a second. But if you show up with only one of three or two of three, you might be able to get attention from him, and you might even be able to get commitment. But to really activate that healthy masculine protector provider, you've got to do all three, be all three. So starting with the goddess, if you think about through human history, men have worshipped goddesses before going to hunt, going to sea, to war. Like there's always some type of beautiful, feminine, mystical, powerful creature that he would kind of surrender, control of his body to, and it would give him strength and courage to go into the world and kill and plunder and ideally bring back or die in fame. And like men still want that, they, ideally in their wife. And so being that feminine inspiration, spiritual presence, almost mystical presence in his life is going to help activate this healthy masculine, regardless of how much money you make, regardless of how successful you are. Like you want to be a source of feminine inspiration because that is what inspires a man to get up off his butt, go into the world, and bring back money to you. Even if you don't need his money, it inspires him to go be successful, to feel like he's doing it for you. That's why, a lot of times, you'll hear that saying about behind every successful man is, a woman. So that feminine goddess inspiration has inspired men for centuries and it still works today. So you want to be that. The second energy is the mommy. And this one is so important because if you don't have like evidence, if it's hard for a man to see that you have nurturing qualities, it's going to be really difficult to shift yourself out of like the just for fun category or like the, you know, just a friend kind of friend zone territory, which, if you want that, that's fine. But especially after you're married, like you don't want to be like just like his buddy or his bro. Like you want to be like the woman. And so one of the ways that you do that is by having this nurturing quality. And if you're someone who's like, I eat nails for breakfast, like I don't, I'm not nurturing, then what you want to do is, okay, I just got a message I'm going to respond to. What you want to do is develop it. And one way to do it is by doing things that will help you open your heart and express nurturing tendencies for something living. It can be a plant, it can be a pet. You can go play with nieces and nephews, whatever you got to do, but just work on developing that nurturing temperament, because that will help with activating the healthy masculine that wants to protect and provide, as opposed to the unhealthy version that wants to compete, cut you down, and doesn't make you feel like they're proud of your success and they're celebrating you. So there's the goddess, there's the mommy, and then there's the sex kitten. Even though I'm saying the sex kitten last, it's not that it's not important. It's just that it's kind of overused in the modern world because it's a really easy, kind of low-hanging fruit way to get attention from men. The problem with leading with that energy is you'll get attention, you'll get noticed, but the next time that something that's more whatever he's into comes along, like you're going to be forgotten, right? Because we live in a world where there's always a better version of whatever you are. And even if there's not a better version in the real world, there's AI that can make a better version. So the sex kitten piece is important, because if a man is not physically attracted to you, he's very unlikely to commit to you, very unlikely to want to protect and to provide for you. Even if it's not a romantic relationship, if there's not like seeing you as attractive, man's going to be a lot less motivated to be a helpful presence in your life. So it does matter, but as far as being someone who is not going to try and cut you down, make you feel like you're intimidating because you're successful, it's having the combination of these three things. So you can be that beast at work or in business who's crushing it, who's got the clients and making money and all of the things. Am I melting? Oh, okay, I'm melting. The cool guy said that my face is melting right before our eyes. I'm like, I'm in the sunlight, so maybe that's it. I don't know. But but yeah, if you want to be that woman who like really enjoys being successful, being able to go into the world and achieve and do, like you can be that. And also be able to attract someone who's your equal, who can compliment you. But the way that you get the man that compliments your success instead of tries to pull it down is by having these three frequencies that men have always responded well to throughout history. This is nothing new. It just hasn't been taught widely. But showing up in the embodiment of being that goddess, that sex kitten, that nurturing mother, having all three of those energies very like evident, that is what's going to get a man to react differently. So if you want to learn a little bit more about how to embody all these three energies, I have a course. It's called the Unforgettable Woman Formula, and created in response to that client who'd been married 20 years, and she's like, I haven't heard this before, and went from having a husband that like was basically not acknowledging her presence, to having one that would flirt with her and wanted to dance with her in the bedroom before they went to sleep at night, and totally changing her experience as a wife from feeling like she was just the hired help, to feeling like a lover and someone that was cherished. So Unforgettable Woman Formula, it is literally $22.22, like no brainer. And I firmly believe it's the best $22 you can spend this year if you are a successful woman and you're kind of struggling with having the same success in your romantic life. So it's the same information that I teach in my private sessions that are hundreds of dollars per session, pre-recorded. There's also a bonus module in there that I think is gold for any woman who doesn't understand like why men cheat or how to avoid men who cheat. It's literally titled Why Men Cheat, and it breaks down the 11 main reasons why men cheat. And also how to spot the type of guy who will cheat and how to spot someone who's faithful. And the benefit of having that information is you don't have to worry about being cheated on. Like, I have been cheated on in the past, and I have lots of friends who have been too. And I am confident in my ability to select a guy who's not likely to cheat. And I'm also confident that I know what to do once I'm in a relationship to not get cheated on. So I don't even think about it. And so if you are someone who can't say, like, without blinking that, like, yeah, I just don't worry about getting cheated on, then this is something you should get. It's $22.22. And it's the same information that you could get inside of a private session with me that would be hundreds of dollars. And if you are in a relationship and you're wanting a little bit more, you're either, thinking about getting married or thinking about getting divorced, or currently married and you're wanting to, like, just kind of turn things up a notch and, like, make the relationship feel a little bit more juicy and exciting, then I have a 3-session package called Vows and Vision that's perfect for you. And it's designed specifically to support people that are in relationships and considering a transition, either like going all in or going all out, or just making what you already have better. So those are just a couple of the ways you can work with me. When this replay is up, there'll be more links in the description box. But I hope that was helpful in kind of demystifying what can seem kind of confusing, like why men seem to not, they don't want gold diggers, but then they want to tear you down when you're successful. And it's not about, not wanting a successful woman or being intimidated by women. It's about wanting to feel needed, which, if you have everything going on, then you have to manufacture things so that they can feel needed. And then also having those 3 energies that activate that masculine protector provider, rather than activating the taker, the predatory nature that just wants to take and leave you depleted. So I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, please ask any questions you have in the comments. I'd love to read them. And also, if you know that the Unforgettable Woman Formula is, what you need right now to kind of make a shift in your romantic life, then I'd love for you to get that, because I put a lot of heart into it. And there's multiple modules, but it will explain how to embody, the goddess, the sex kitten, the mommy, and also how to avoid the type of men that need to be left alone, okay? So that you're not re-traumatized. So I hope this was really helpful. Thank you to those of you who joined me live, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you have to say in the comments. So that's all for now. If you have any suggestions, I'm going to be going live more often, talking about relationships and stress and burnout and, all of the things stress related. So if there's a question you have, if there's something that you, would like to hear about, please let me know about that in the comments as well. I'm happy to discuss in a future live. So that's all for now. See you in the next one. Bye.